Hello, and welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of March 31st through April 6th. I'm getting tongue-tied already. I am your astrologer, Laura Chung. Welcome back. Admittedly, I am posting this late. I just could not get can I curse on here? My stuff together. Neptune is conjunct my sun, and I am just in this Delulu fog. It's really nice, but I can't seem to get myself organized. So, as far as the recap goes, March 31st was Monday, not much going on in the sky. April 1st, Tuesday, Venus retrograde in Pisces was conjunct the North Node at 27 degrees, which is Venus's exaltation degree. Very lovely. That day, I went to the city. I met up with my editor, and then I went to the Met and I looked at art. It's very Venusian activities. And yeah, I think April 2nd and 3rd, not much going on in the sky that of note. But April 4th, which is Friday, that is the day you should pay attention to because there's a lot going on. The first thing is this is the first quarter moon in Cancer. We are going to have a full moon in Libra next week. And that full moon is mm, it's I feel like it's rough. It's not the cutest I want it to be, but it's the first full moon in Libra that's not an eclipse. So I feel like also that moon is closing out officially eclipse season. And so this week is interesting because so much has happened in March. We had we're still in Venus and Mercury retrograde. We had the Virgo eclipse on March 14th. We had the Aries solar eclipse on March 29th, which was just last weekend. And that one was the last of its series. And then the next day, Neptune entered the sign of Aries for the first time in 65 years. There was a lot of stuff going on in the collective. And just from my client readings and what I've been noticing with my friends and family, just we're all going through it. We're all kind of trying to leave the past behind, release things, surrender to the unknown. And we're all in this weird liminal space of not quite knowing what's coming up. And I think this week is that transition phase of integration and also what did we just all go through? April is interesting, I have to say. I haven't really formed an opinion about it yet. I think March and April's astrology go hand in hand together. A lot of the things or questions you might have had in March might be answered in April, or you're going to start to make decisions or information that you need to make decisions will start to come out in April since Venus and Mercury will go direct, but they'll be sitting there at those degrees. And oh, by the way, Stephanie and I's monthly forecast for April is out. So you can also watch that, listen to that to get an overview of the whole month. This is just the weekly. So this week, in the context of the month of April, is, I would say, the sweetest part of April. And then the later you get into April, it starts to get crunchy again. So, April 4th, which is a Friday, I mentioned there is the first quarter moon in Cancer, and the first quarter moon is always a crisis point. We just had a new moon solar eclipse in Aries that was about new beginnings, starting a new 9-year cycle. And now we're coming up to a crisis point. The moon is in its home in the sign of Cancer. So there could be just a lot of feels. There just could be a lot of confusion with all that Pisces energy in the sky. But overall, all of these aspects that I'm about to go through one by one are harmonious. And I've given examples in previous weeks where just because something's harmonious doesn't mean that it's going to be good or bad. I've given examples of this with my teeth trauma, my teeth drama, which thankfully is over for now. I didn't have to get a crown just yet. I'm going to get it next year when the infection goes down. But just because it's harmonious means that it's flowing. I mean, more often than not, it is something pleasant, but I just wanted to have a disclaimer there because sometimes depending on how it hits your natal chart and the houses that these transits are happening, I want to just be honest with you. So the first one is Mercury retrograde in Pisces will conjunct the North Node at 27 degrees. Now, on Tuesday, we had Venus retrograde in Pisces conjunct the North Node. The North Node is our destiny, where our soul wants to understand the lessons of. And the North Node in Pisces is understanding the divinity within each and every one of us. It is about spirituality. It is about oneness, all the Piscean things. And Venus is exalted in Pisces, like I mentioned. However, Mercury is in its detriment and fall in the sign of Pisces. So Mercury is not in the position to have a clear mind in the way that it would in the signs of Virgo and Gemini. Mercury in Pisces, I have a Mercury in Pisces. They're people that have multiple tabs open. They speak through omens and symbolism and poetry. It's not concrete data like how Mercury would like to be in Virgo and Gemini. So Mercury conjunct the North Node, there can be a lot of messages and downloads. You can get signs and symbols and synchronicities. If you're one of those people that sees an angel number and that is your sign, this is the day for you. Saturn in Pisces will sextile Uranus and Taurus at 24 degrees. And this is such an interesting combination. Sextiles are harmonious, they're 60 degrees. So it's supportive. Now, Saturn is the planet of restriction, of discipline, of oftentimes no and delay. It is the past, it is historical. While Uranus is the planet of awakening, freedom, revolution, revelation. So these two planets are very different. But I think this is really nice because Saturn is understanding where we've come from historically, and Uranus is this needs to change. Like, we need to break free. We need to move forward. And having it being in a sextile is gentle. It's not like a square, you know? So I think this is very supportive. This is understanding that destiny is calling you, however you believe destiny is. I believe we're all on our destiny's path, even though you might think that you're not. And this is a nice little, this day, April 4th, is a nice day to take action, let go of the past, move forward. Now, Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus since 2018. It's a 7-year transit. And so Uranus and Taurus is finishing up its story, its journey. And Uranus and Taurus, I believe we were meant to have different forms of money. And this is really when crypto came about, became popular. Uranus and Taurus is about understanding the intelligence of Earth. They'll be creating all things like AI, ChatGPT, robots, but the real intelligence is the intelligence of the Earth and our bodies. True freedom is through the embodiment process, being in your body. If colonization disembodies us, decolonizing is embodiment. So I really like this. And then the same day, Mars in Cancer, Mars is still in Cancer. It's crazy. Will be sextile Uranus in Taurus at 24 degrees. So look out for 24 degrees in your Cancer and Uranus and Taurus houses. So Mars in Cancer is going forward. It is direct. It's finishing up the story. And a sextile, again, is our harmonious aspect to Uranus and Taurus. So Mars is that action. It's that, protection energy, Mars in Cancer. It's we're going to change something. And then Mars in Cancer will trine to Saturn in Pisces at 24 degrees. And a trine is the most harmonious aspect. It is flowing. So Mars in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces, I love these days because they help give you some structure to Mars and Saturn. When they're in a harmonious aspect, can be very constructive. When they're in a square, could be combative, but since they're in a trine, this could be a great day to take action, to do something that you deeply believe in for collective liberation, for the liberation of all sentient beings on this earth. And that's what I'm saying. If you're a spiritual person, if you consider yourself to be a spiritual person, and you do not like work or advocate for the liberation of all living beings on this earth, and I mean living is the earth, is animals, of plants, humans, then I don't know what your spirituality is. That's just my personal opinion, which I find interesting because on April 4th, or no, April 5th, there is a global, I don't know if it's global actually, I think it might be global, but there's a huge march happening in DC this weekend for the protests are for the students who are currently locked up by ICE. And I think this is actually supportive astrology for that, with Mars being the planet of protection, protecting the most vulnerable, Cancer. Mars in Cancer, when it's in its shadow aspect, is nationalism and racism and blocking our borders and detaining people. So when it's used and transmuted to, for us, we the people, we can use this energy to fight for what we believe in and fighting for the sovereignty and the liberation of all peoples. So I think this is actually a really nice this is nice astrology for what's going to happen this weekend. Like I said, it's the first quarter moon in Cancer. So, I mean, people protest because they're not happy with the status quo. They're protesting against something that is unjust. So, there you go. On April 6th, the sun in Aries will sextile Jupiter in Gemini at 16 degrees. I really love this. I love when the sun is in a sextile position with Jupiter. And this is such a great day, honestly, because the sun is exalted in Aries. You always want to take advantage of when planets are in their exaltation, like when Venus is exalted in Pisces, when the sun is exalted in Aries, and the moon is exalted in Taurus, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, Saturn is exalted in Libra. Did I forget one? Mars is exalted in Capricorn. You want to take advantage of this, especially when you're planning to launch things. Or I actually, that's one of my favorite parts of astrology, is helping people pick out dates to launch things or release things, because you want to look at the planets that are in good positions to be supportive. So the sun exalted in Aries, sextile Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter in Gemini is also about expanding your curiosity, expanding your knowledge, expanding your groups and networks, and communicating with people. The same day, Mars in Cancer will trine Venus retrograde in Pisces at 25 degrees. Again, trines are harmonious, but because this is Mars and Venus, this could also be just lots of feelings and feelings just getting in the way of, because I'm also thinking Mercury is still in Pisces, right? You're not thinking clearly, and you're letting your feelings override certain things. Um, if if at any point of this Venus retrograde you did not say the thing, oh, I thought someone was walking down the driveway. If you did not say the thing that you wanted to say, this might be the time, because Venus is currently retrograde in Pisces. And so, if when Venus was in a shadow period back in like February, and you had this opportunity, but you were afraid, or you let your emotions get in the way, or you know you're afraid because you talk yourself out of it, this might be a good day on April 6th to say the thing that you've been meaning to say. And Mars and Venus are relational planets. Mars is the yang expression, the planet that takes action, and Venus is the yin expression, the one that attracts. So when these two come together, they're cosmic lovers. It often talks about our feminine and masculine, our yin and our yang, but when they're in a trine, those two coming together in water signs too, and Venus is still retrograde, there could be like regret from the past or an action that you didn't take in the past. This is why I'm saying in this time around, this could be a good opportunity for you to say the thing, do the thing, take a bold step. I ultimately like this because Venus is in a better position. Mars is fallen in Cancer and Venus is exalted in Pisces. So I think ultimately love always wins. And I know that's super cheesy, but I just really like the astrology of this week. So it's a good week to take advantage. I can't really say that for the rest of April. Of course, like me, if you've been here for a while, you know that every transit, every aspect has its own medicine. But when there is when there is a week where it's just more harmonious and flowing, this is when you want to take advantage of this energy, because as we get to the later weeks of April, we're coming back to applying an opposition between Mars and Pluto, which happens at the end of the month, I believe April 26th exactly. And that's when things start to get tense again. So, yes, I think that's what I'm going to leave for now. As always, I wish you safety, security, may be protected. And if you do decide to protest or take action in any way, make sure you have a buddy, make sure people have your phone number, make sure you have a plan to get out, protect yourself, protect each other. And as always, I'm sending you so much love.